Hi. Welcome to the Thursday, March 14th, 2019 meeting of the Park and Recreation Board. I'm going to invite Steve Harris up to the podium to lead us in the pledge to our flag.
Please join me. Please join me in saluting our flag, the greatest flag on earth. Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Let's see, roll call.
Ms. Lowers?
Here.
Ms. Bergdorf?
Present.
Mr. Gussow?
Here.
Mr. DiPaolo?
Here.
Ms. Jackson's not here tonight.
Okay, now we're going to go right into announcements. If Virginia Costin King could come up with all the fun stuff going on in our city.
Good evening, Chair Lowers.
Good evening.
Members of the board. I'm Virginia Corsten Keene. I'm the program specialist at the Betsy Lukey Creative Arts Center. So, first off, calling all golfers. Debell Golf Club presents the St. Patrick's Day Scramble on Friday, March 15th. Sign up in teams of 2 and compete for fun prizes in this 9-hole event. Shotgun is at 3 p.m. and includes a fun after party at the Hilltop Restaurant following the tournament. The cost is $25 per player. See you on the green. All right, cheers on the Clippers and the Staples Center this Friday, March 15th, starting at 7:30 p.m. They are hosting this very special Burbank Youth Night. Tickets start at $25 and includes an exclusive pre-game warm-up experience. You don't want to miss this game. The city of Burbank is celebrating Plant a Tree Month and National Arbor Day. Did you know that along with Sacramento, it is celebrating its 42nd year as an original Tree City, USA city? This is quite an honor and recognizes the city for our commitment to our urban forestry program. So join us in this annual Tree City USA celebration on March 19th at 10 a.m. We will be planting a tree and hosting fun activities at the McCambridge Park. And the best one of all, the Betsy Lukey Creative Arts Center, in collaboration with the, not that I'm biased or anything, Burbank Fine Arts Federation will hold the annual Youth Art Expo. This showcases the talents of Burbank's youth, providing the opportunity for them to display their creativity. Annually, over 1,500 pieces are submitted from Burbank students, TK through 12th grade, from public, private, and home schools. The top 220 pieces will be selected to be featured in the gallery show. That's a really hard job, by the way. The opening receptions will be on April 4th and 5th. The show will be on view at the Betsy Lukey Creative Arts Center until April 25th. And I really urge everybody to come down and look at this. It's amazing. It will blow your socks off, as we say in England. And you can see the next generation of really talented artists. Okay, on to Dig Burbank. Do you dig Burbank? I definitely dig Burbank. Join Dig Burbank volunteers on Saturday mornings from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. and help keep our parks beautiful and clean. The next scheduled dig day is on Saturday, March 16th at George Isay Park, and the schedule rotates weekly. Volunteers will assist in pulling weeds, litter cleanup, and mulching. Bring a friend, and it's a great way to start a Saturday. I would agree. Okay, for full details regarding our upcoming events, including registration information, please visit www.burbankca.gov, Parks and Rec Events. Okay, here are a few more announcements. Spring camps. Spring break is just around the corner. Do you have a spring break plans? Not only do we offer Spring Days camps for the week of March 18th through the 22nd, we also have half-day options with Spring Break Nature Camp, Basketball Camp, and Breakthrough Sports, and Junior Golf Camp at the Debell Golf Club. For more information about spring camp options, please go to www.burbankca.gov/spring camps. Okay, high school students, spend your summer with Burbank Parks and Rec. We are recruiting for our Counselor in Training program. This is a 9-week volunteer opportunity that allows students to gain valuable work experience, develop leadership skills, and enhance their resumes, and earn volunteer service learning hours. Components of the program include daily interaction with children and staff in summer camp programs, hands-on experience working with children, and interactive training sessions. Applications will be open from March 18th through April 12th. The summer session begins the first week of June. And for more information and the application, please visit www.burbankca.gov/CIT. Summer camps. Wow, we're rushing through the year here. Looking for summer camp options for your child this summer. We've got you covered. Currently, we are taking Burbank residents pre-registration for the popular Summer Days camp. Please have all your materials in before March 22nd to be able to participate in the online registration on April 6th. In addition, the Parks and Recreation Department offers Art Experience Camp, Nature Camp, and Summer Play Days, and a variety of sports camps option. And again, please visit www.burbankca.gov/camps to plan out your summer of fun. To stay up to date on the latest happenings with the Burbank Parks and Recreation, be sure to follow us on Facebook and Instagram. You can also find out about our programs and events by visiting our website at www.burbankca.gov/parks and recreation. Thank you all, and this concludes my announcements.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
Tonight we're going to recognize the folks that have been in the city's RISE program. It's a fabulous program, kind of a grassroots program that kind of inspires and educates and gives people an opportunity to really participate in the workings of the city, and excellent program. And so Kristen Hypley is going to come up, and I guess I'm going to come down.
Good evening, Chair Lowers and members of the Park Board. We have quite a few items to share with you regarding the RISE program.
Cool.
So my name is Kristen Hypley, Administrative Analyst in the Parks and Recreation Department. I, along with Grace Coronado and Beth McQuitty, are fortunate to be the coordinators of the RISE Burbank program. And RISE, just so you know, stands for Residents, Inspiring Service, and Empowerment. So tonight we're celebrating the city's newest community ambassadors who have participated in a rigorous 10-week program to learn about the community that they call home. This group of dedicated community members are inspirational, motivational, and diverse, and together they worked brilliantly as a cohort. Our RISE Burbank 2019 cohort was comprised of 17 wonderful individuals with big hearts, which continues to be demonstrated in the community even now as the program has ended. We first met as a cohort in December at a welcome reception, and thereafter we jumped right in and began our journey in learning about city government. Throughout the course of the program, participants were exposed to high-level information and received insight as it relates to the various departmental operation from the mayor's office, city clerk's office, public works, community development, police, fire, finance, parks and recreation, and Burbank Water and Power. Also weaved into the department sessions were presentations from the Hollywood Burbank Airport, St. Joseph Medical Center, and Warner Brothers Studios. At this time, we'd like to show you a video of RISE and what they experienced this past year. think we're having some technical difficulties, so before we get to that, I'm going to go ahead and invite Scott McDonald. He was one of the participants in the RISE program, and he's going to just share you with a class reflection of his participation in RISE.
Thank you. I can't compete with spring break nature camp, but I will try my best. Members of the board, thank you for having me. My hope today is to be able to provide you with an effective and impactful understanding of what RISE has been like for us, my classmates and myself, and by so doing to encourage anyone who has not yet participated in the program to do so. So what prompted me and what prompted my classmates to participate in RISE? The answers might range from hoping to meet more people in the community, to learning more about how the city functions, to getting a free dinner every Wednesday night. But after reflecting on this question and in speaking with my classmates, the answer, in its simplest form, for why we participated in RISE, is that it was an opportunity to do good. Lincoln said, "When I do good, I feel good." And each of us, no matter what is behind us, wants to feel good. Steve Veras, sitting to my left, our esteemed elder statesman and de facto class mascot, made a statement recently that strikes me as an appropriate analogy. When speaking about painting, Steve said, "If you don't start with the proper foundation, the primer won't bond with the wall." In a way, RISE has given us the proper foundation to better and more fully understand the city of Burbank and how we, as individual residents, can improve the quality of life here for everyone. The RISE program reaches its culmination when the class carries out a service project together. Our class project was focused on a Burbank facility that provides transitional housing to youth ages 18 to 24 called The Landing. While this project entailed an extensive patio refurbishment and a drive for donations of personal items, the real impact was felt in getting to know the residents of The Landing themselves. This was because in talking to the residents, it was easy to see that they are just people, not a category, not a vulnerable client population, and definitely not a faceless statistic. They're people, people with dreams, with talents, with skills, and with valuable and meaningful personal experiences. Getting to know these residents as people was the reward that we will all take with us from this project and from this program. Over the last 10 weeks, we have learned what Burbank is made of. We have learned how the City Council deliberates and decides important matters. We have learned how the city's emergency services prepare for potential disasters. We have learned how the city is working to improve community development and transportation. We have learned how these various services operate in concert and about some of the rich history that is behind much of what makes Burbank, Burbank. But why is this important or interesting? It's interesting and important because Burbank is a perfect microcosm of America. It is aged yet young. It is historic yet innovative. It is diverse yet it is singular. And just like America, we here in Burbank have the power to both recognize our problems as well as solve them. In short, we have the power to act and do not need to wait to be acted upon. And RISE has helped us to see and understand how to act in Burbank's best interest, because Burbank's best interest is our best interest. Thank you.
At this time, we would like to share with you the RISE video.
Really?
We're going to keep going with this show. We do have another speaker to come up tonight. So while we still wait, because we'd really like to share that with you, and we also have some photos that we want to share of the service project as well, I'd like to invite Sandra Lozano. She was another instrumental member of the RISE class, and she's going to share with us a little bit more about that service project.
Hi,
Thank you. Thank you all for having me today. My name is Sandra Lozano, and I was part of the RISE class 2019. And I was pleased to have this opportunity to be in this program. Again, we found out, through going through the city and finding about RISE, and I thought, oh, what is this about? So, finally, when we signed up, we were handed this project for our lovely Kristen, Beth, and Grace. And when we were handed this project, we first didn't know where to start, how to go about, and we brainstormed all of our ideas. And one of the things we were focused on is renovating their patio, collecting items, personal items, and also creating a day of event for landing residents to experience a day of outside of their daily life. Now, landing resident is a homeless transitional youth, and they house about from 20 to 50 residents. And they come from all walks of life, and we try to create a day that they can just forget that moment of what they're going through. So with patio team, which was led by this lovely Toby, and she pretty much had Steve, our general contractor, and actually he elegantly put a lot of things into motion, and he was able to give us directive how to do things, as to even holding a hammer, painting. I know he mentioned that even though we were hammering away the wrong way, or more painted landed on us than the walls, he said we did. He would probably say that we were one of the best crews ever, right? Now with the patio, pretty much it consisted of prepping the walls 3 days in advance, added patio lighting, new fences, patio furniture, bulletin boards, and we incorporated almost 30 plants for that area. Now, with our huge sponsors, which was Target, Do-It-Yourself Center, Lowe's with their discount, we were able to accomplish this, and also we started a GoFundMe page so we can get across the line. Now for collection team, run by Miss Lovely Amy, she pretty much decided with the landing residents and the landing staff to collect, undergarments, feminine hygiene products, toiletries, pillows, gift cards, laundry detergent, and baskets, and so forth. And they stationed all these baskets throughout our wonderful libraries in McCambridge Park. And so they had these baskets that they kept emptying out constantly. And this is what amazes me, our city of Burbank, that all of our residents pull through. We were overwhelmed with all the donations. And after that, we had to sort these items out by sizing them, labeling, and then transporting it to, the landing residents. For Art Festival, which included flow art, the Miss Virginia and Doug and her staff pretty much were able to process our vision into to that event that it was that day. They did flow art. We did also jewelry making, which was directed by Miss Milena, and actually she has a jewelry line if you guys are interested. She does amazing work. And then it was, again, our food that was donated by many sponsors who we are immensely thankful for. And again, it's our local businesses that pull through. And pretty much, again, thank you to RISE and this wonderful organization, this city that created this, because if it wasn't because of them, I wouldn't be in front of you here today. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Sandra. Now, what we've all been waiting for, too.
My name is Audrey Nicole Soriano, and I have been a Burbank resident for 15 years.
I'm Elena Kazarian-Kiers, and I've lived in Burbank for 3.5 years.
My name is Charles Wilson, and I've been a resident of Burbank for 20 years now.
I heard about RISE because I want to get involved in the city of Burbank and happened to stumble upon the RISE page when I was looking for volunteer opportunities.
I was taking my son to preschool and I looked at the cover of the Parks and Rec guide, and I noticed that one of the people on the cover was a good friend of mine that I grew up with, and I said, "What's that about?" It was the RISE program.
The first session where we learned about how the city's finances worked was completely fascinating to me, to see the breakdown of where the money is going.
The city council meeting where we actually had a mock city council was the most enjoyable. I mean, because it really helped to understand how all those pieces come together in a city council meeting.
How tough decisions are made. I like the mock exercise of thinking about deliberating on something and then explaining why we had come to that conclusion.
The volunteer project was really impactful. That was working with a local shelter that deals with transitional youth.
We were able to successfully collect a ton of donations. The patio looks amazing. And then we had a whole day where we got to hang out with the residents of the landing and get to know them and create art together.
I loved serving the residents of the landing and just getting to work with them on prep days and transforming their space into kind of a beautiful oasis for them to enjoy and hang out at.
We learned a lot, we bonded with the residents, and I am so grateful for that.
I think a big takeaway that I have from the RISE program is that there is always a need in our city and that there's opportunities wherever you look.
RISE is very beneficial because it is by the community and it is for the community.
Because it empowers people to help other people. And so by me knowing about various resources, I'm able to communicate that information to other residents.
I've already told so many people about the places we've been, the people we've talked to, the things we've learned.
I would tell someone who's thinking about joining RISE to do it. I would tell someone who's heard about it to do it and learn more about Burbank and why it's a great place to live.
I would tell them, just do it. Just do it. Don't think, just do it.
Everybody has a voice, and you have to raise yours to be heard.
Do it! It doesn't matter if you've lived here for 50 years or 5 months. Do it. It's a good way to get to know your city. It's a good way to meet more people that you can form a bond with for the future, and create more positive change within our own community. Do it.
That was worth waiting for.
We also talked a lot about this service project, so we just wanted to share with you some before and after photos as well, and we have a slideshow to share. So as you can see, this is a before photo of the patio. It's very small, and they just had picnic tables or some folding tables out there that were very used, and some folding chairs. And so what we did is the team came in and was able to transform it. They painted all of the walls and bought some new patio furniture and really brightened up that space. The other component of this was the fencing railing. So they're sitting on top of a roof and other businesses, and they're really limited on their space. And as you can see, it was really worn out, holes there. And they were able to replace that fencing. They were able to put some really nice fixtures, some plantings, and string lights, which was very important because up until this point, they only had one floodlight and really didn't utilize that space in the evening. Here's another look at the patio, so you can see the walls pretty dirty, and then transform that backspace corner into a really nice space to seat. And all of this, again, like they mentioned, was donations, fundraising that they received from the community. And here's one looking at it from one end of the wall towards the end of the patio space, and just how it really transformed. And so it was really nice to be able to do that. We had participant who's involved in electricity, so they also provided them with lighting, additional lighting besides the string lights. And then these are just some photos from the service day event itself. We had some singing, we had crafts, and everyone really enjoyed themselves, and there's even some photos on there of the residents back in their new space playing card games and actually socializing with one another. So it was very beneficial to be able to help them and just do something good for the community. So at this time, we'd like to ask Chair Lowers to come down to help us present some certificates to our graduates. I can say their names if you'd like me to.
Yes, you may.
Okay. And we're going to ask all of our participants to stay up here so we can get a group photo afterwards. So the first one we have is Marianja Garabello.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Chantal Castillo.
Thank you.
Milena Kazarian-Kiers. Toby Keegley.
Thank you very much.
Sandra Lozano. Scott McDonald. Queen Searless.
You just did it, right?
Dana Sebastian. Stephen Veris. And Charles Wilson. If we can all squeeze in with Chair Lowers for a group photo. So as we conclude tonight, we just want to say thank you for your continued support of the Rise Burbank program. We really appreciate it. And, you know, as we mentioned, what Rise stands for, residents, inspired, service, and empowerment, they really engaged, and I feel it really had all of those attributes throughout this course of the program. And they continue to stay engaged with the youth at the landing. Many of them have gone back, have been able to partner or have been able to connect them to the YMCA, was able to give them a 6-month free gym membership and hosted them for a dinner this past Friday evening. And so these residents are determined and dedicated to continuing that partnership, and we're so grateful for them and really helping to be mentors to those youth who are looking for that leadership right now. So we just want to thank you, and we appreciate everyone for coming out tonight, and that concludes the recognition.
It's amazing what a great community we can have when we empower our citizens.
Thank you, Chair Lowers. So I'd like to applaud all those people that participated in this and also to the city for continuing this program. So this program stemmed from a program that used to be called Burbank Neighborhood Leadership Program, and I was one of the original committee members on that, and I think that goes back to like 2010, or Ms. Coronado, you can probably tell me because I think you were part of that at that time as well, weren't you?
Yes, actually it was Gabby Flores and Natalie Oscar. It's a little bit before my time.
Was before your time? I thought you, I knew they, but I thought you too. But anyway, and I applaud the city because with all the budgetary cuts that we made in this city, this was an important program for residents such as these. There are still people from those original programs that are involved in this city doing great community service, and I hope that these members will continue to do that same thing. Thank you.
On February 13th, the class came to the airport, and I'd like you to all know that I was honored to be able to present the history of the airport and to also give you information about the replacement passenger terminal and the future of the airport. It's a great class, and thank you so much for coming, and I hope your next class next year comes to the airport again. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much. So thank all of you for coming out tonight, and thank all of you for donating your time and skills to the program. And hopefully you all got something out of it that will benefit you going forward, and you'll tell all your friends and neighbors and anyone you can think of about what a fabulous opportunity this is to be a part of this community. It's one thing to, you can live in a brick and mortar city. It becomes more meaningful to you when you feel like you're a part of it, and RISE is certainly an opportunity for that.
Thank you, Chair Lowers. I just wanted to, I'm sure the individuals that were on the RISE committee, you mentioned Mr. Stephen Veras, I bet he kept you guys on your toes because he has more energy than probably all of us combined in this room. So he's a great man. So thank you.
All right. Well, time to move on. We have oral communications. I have 2 cards. We'll start with Jim Sartoris.
Thank you, Jim Sartoris, very proud, longtime resident of our great city. I'm here to talk and give you a little bit of an update on pickleball. You all remember pickleball? We were here about 1.5 years ago where we made a presentation. Actually, pickleball has been thriving here in the city for 3 years now. Actually, we started in February of 16, and through the support of the BAF, we were allowed to start a program on a trial basis at Olive Recreational Facility, indoor, 2 days a week. It became so popular, we've got it an extra day, and after that, we tried to find a facility that could accommodate the large numbers of people that we were introducing to the game and who really got addicted to the game. We had a chance to participate on one of their courts at the tennis center, and that worked out pretty well until it got so popular that the tennis center seemed to think that they really couldn't do their big time tournaments with our pickleball lines in there. So we with the support of Judy, Aaron, Gwen, we were able to get some time on the Maxim tennis court. And as you know, that became very popular. We came to the board asking for support to really make it a pickleball venue. And with the support of over 70 donors, we raised, right now I think it's $27,000. We put a lot of that into making the court a permanent pickleball venue, 4 courts. And right now we have 2 sites going, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings, both at Olive and at Maxim, working to capacity right now. We have at least 25 to 30 people at Maxim every morning on those mornings. At Olive, the same amount, about 25 people. And as I said, we're at capacity because there's wait time now. The people have to wait to get onto the court, and which is good in one respect, but we certainly need more space. As you know, pickleball is a very social sport. It brings in a lot of people, and Karen's going to get up here in a second to tell you about that. But we believe that we know that it's the fastest growing sport in America, and because Burbank is at the forefront, we're way ahead of all those communities around us, La Cañada, Pasadena, you name it. So we're happy to bring that message to you. We appreciate your support, and I believe that it's just going to grow and grow, and it's going to be a sport, an activity that you're all proud of. I want to make sure you know it's gender neutral. Debbie Ludwig and Karen can beat the pants off of both Don and I very easily. We just concluded a tournament just a couple weeks ago where the two oldest people in the tournament got first place at the intermediate level. So age makes no difference. So we're real proud of that, and so we just wanted to make sure that you understood and the community understands that pickleball is alive. We give free lessons on Wednesday mornings from 8 to 9. Right now we have a instructor that's working through the tennis center that gives lessons. And so I think, I think it's a situation where the city can be proud of what we're doing, and it's growing. And I just wanted to make sure you understood that. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And now, Karen.
Hello, hello. Hi. I just wanted to add to what he said, more on a social side of the game, which was an unexpected joy for me to see this come about. The friendships that have formed, the interesting people that we've met, people from Burbank that they're our neighbors. I've never known they were there, and their lives are fascinating. We sit and we talk. The people that have come from around the country and around the world that we've met, people from Canada, Kansas, Washington, New York, Florida, Spain, and Mexico, and they're very interesting people, and they hear about the Burbank pickleball. There's a website on where to play, so the word's kind of gotten out that Glendale's got beautiful facilities. They'll look it up, they'll want to come to Burbank, and you see them walking across. It's like a field of dreams. If you build it, they all come. But Burbank's got a reputation for having beautiful courts, so we get a lot of people from places where they have courts, but they're not as nice, and they'll show up and they say, well, we all heard about Burbank, this is where we come, when we want to play. So there's a lot of people coming. But particularly at Olive, there's a group that are really supportive with each other. I was talking to one of the women over there, and she says, by the time we've reached a lot of the ages of the people that play, we've lost a lot of people, and we found a whole new life and a whole new group of friends. And these friends that really care about each other go to lunch together, are involved with their families. We've seen people with, going through cancer treatment, surgeries, a whole huge group of support people that all come from this pickleball community that didn't even exist a few years ago. So I wanted to thank you guys all for being so supportive of us, and you guys need to come out and play. Thank you very much.
Now I had my pickleball set for 15 months now. I got it a year ago Christmas.
We'll give you some lessons for free. Anyone?
I have not played at all. Waiting on my friend Pam, who's supposed to go with me.
Well, thank you very much for all your support, and we appreciate it.
Hey, Karen. So, are you still getting a younger group of people out to play?
We
as
do.
well?
In the evenings and on holidays, we get a lot of the high school kids that come out. And they'll come out with, they'll make some calls, 3 or 4 or 5, 6 guys will come out. And you know, it's kind of like a date night. The girlfriends are there. They're learning how to play. Sometimes the moms and dads come and watch all the kids play. We've got some young kids that are really good, like 10, 12-year-olds that come out when there's no school. The young ones they're fast and they're good and they can get to everything. But if they start learning that young, you know, they're going to be really good players. It doesn't take much to learn to play pickleball. It takes a lot more work to get really good, but anybody can play by the end of, you know, their first try.
Thank you.
There's hope for me. Thank you. And anybody else have anything to add? And any written communications? Nope. Okay, any park board comments, liaison assignments, anything anybody wants to talk about? Okay, and, oh, go ahead, sorry. Gotta be quick. Slap.
Yeah, I know. Sorry. Thank you, Chair Lauer. So I just like to report out on the first, I guess now we're called the Debell Advisory Committee. It used to be the Greens Committee. And we had our first meeting, I believe, 2 weeks ago, and it was well attended. They have a great staff up there with a great amount of desire to see this become a world-class facility, which it should be. And I've met with Jeff Hastings, who's the general manager. I've met with Sergio, who is the food and beverage manager. I've had several conversations with them, and they're working very, very hard to do what I think our vision is, to create what our vision is up there. And I'm very excited to see how they're progressing, and I think it won't be long before things are really rocking and rolling up there. They're still feeling their way a little bit, but they're feeling their way really, really well.
Good. Mr. DePaul.
Yeah, I'd like to comment on what Mr. Augusto said as far as the management up at the Hilltop Cafe. Today, we went up there after a funeral service for a lunch that they had set up with the Hilltop Cafe, and when I had engaged them, I think I mentioned at the last board meeting how nice they were, and how we walked in the door and we didn't have to ask for help; they were right there. But today the service was wonderful. I think the golf course was looking really nice. They had the high school, Burbank High School was up there. I believe they had a Pacific League golf match up there today. But it was the golf course was busy. But getting back, the food was really delicious, and the service was excellent. So I think we have room for a lot of optimism. You know, hopefully that'll keep right on. So thank you.
I think it's wonderful that Jeff Hastings was able to arrange for all that rain, because the golf course does look great.
Well, and it's getting to be the perfect time of year up there in terms of the restaurant, because, you know, hopefully now that the hours have changed, it'll, you know, it's beautiful up there in the evening to get to enjoy the deer out on the golf course. It's just a fabulous place to go at night. Do you have anything? Anybody else have anything? Okay, now, I heard a rumor that we're going to take number 2 ahead of number 1. And number 2 is the Verdugo Aquatic, I said that, Aquatic Art Site Specific Selection Committee. So, Paula Ohan, hi.
Good evening, Chair Lowers and members of the board. My name is Paula Ohan, and I'm the Administrative Analyst in the Parks and Recreation Department, and I'm one of the 2 staff liaisons to the city's Art and Public Places Committee. I'm happy to be here tonight to announce that we are working on another public art project, this time at the Verdugo Aquatics facility, also the Verdugo Park grounds. And ultimately, I'm here to request a representative from this board to serve on the site-specific selection committee. In 2013, the Verdugo pool was renovated and renamed the Verdugo Aquatics facility. And at that time, the city committed to 1% of the construction value of the project for public art, and that 1% equates to $55,000. Although it's taken us a few years, we are excited and happy to move forward with this project. Similar to other city public projects, including the most recent, the Hats at Lincoln Park, we are forming a committee, which will be comprised of 5 members in total. 2 will be city staff, 1 representative from the Art and Public Places Committee, 1 representative from the Burbank Cultural Arts Commission, and 1 representative from the board, should you elect. This committee will be responsible to review all the proposals received from artists or team of artists, interview semifinalists, and ultimately select an artist to be commissioned to design, fabricate, and install the artwork. The committee will meet during regular business hours, and we plan on meeting at least about 3 times and hopefully no more than about 5. And the call for artists was sent out last week, so we're about a week in today, and it's posted on our city's website. And the direct link to that, it can also be found at www.burbankca.gov//app. This concludes my report, and again, I'm really excited, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any idea of what day of the week or times the meetings would be?
No, but I would, of course, make sure that we have a consensus and I can work with the group, whatever schedule would allow.
Anybody interested in doing it?
Is this strictly for this project?
This is strictly for this project, yes.
Okay. I was going to say I would do it if there was any. Okay. Mr. DiPaolo.
Mr. DiPaolo? Okay.
I think that's a great choice, being that you spent quite a few
That's your
years
home.
there.
Actually swam in it.
Home.
That is his home.
Way back.
And I move that, I'm sorry, go ahead, you move.
I was going to make a motion that Mr. DiPaolo becomes our representative to the site-specific selection committee for the Verdugo Aquatics art project.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second for Mr. DiPaolo to be on the site-specific selection committee. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? There you
Great.
have it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mickey.
The ayes have it, as they say. Okay, and then next up is the budget. Oh, my favorite time of the year. That's right. I'm retired, so it can be my favorite time of the year now. The budget update for the fiscal year 2019 to 2020. Kristen Hypley.
Good evening, Chair Lowers and members of the board. Tonight, we'd like to provide you with a summary of the information presented at the City Council Special Budget Study Session, and we have a PowerPoint to go along with that. If we can begin it. So during the fiscal year 2019-2020 budget process, the city's top identified needs, identified financial priorities are focused on pension liability and unfunded infrastructure needs. So before proceeding, we want to define what infrastructure means. It's often referred to as capital improvements. And infrastructure is the collection of the city's assets of basic physical structures, systems, and facilities necessary to provide acceptable service levels to support a community. Examples include streets, sidewalks, parks and recreation centers, libraries, fire stations, police stations, water and wastewater systems, just to name a few. The condition of the infrastructure system impacts public health, safety, and the quality of life of Burbank neighborhoods, businesses, and visitors. As was presented during the budget study session, here is a look at capital improvement projects from the past 10 years. The city completed several projects, which included the Community Services Building, Debell Clubhouse, the Verdugo Pool, and Johnny Carson Park. While we can be proud and recognize the success of these projects and others that were not mentioned, it is worth noting that due to financial shortfall, the city was not able to address other projects. And here is an example of much needed facility maintenance needs to be addressed. Deteriorating street pavement, tired and unpleasant restrooms, inefficient and outdated irrigation systems, parking structures lacking modern lighting, security, and cleanliness, aging roofs and gutters, inefficient HVAC systems, outdated recreation centers, just to name a few. And while the city did provide some funding to address most of these items, it simply was not enough. The backlog of maintenance and routine programmatic capital improvements of our existing assets is readily apparent. So as we move forward, we must prioritize this backlog, while adding new facilities and community amenities is something we all want to see. It cannot be at the expense of maintaining the many valuable community assets we already have, and the community agrees. So to date, our existing infrastructure needs total nearly $470 million. The chart on display provides you with a general idea of the estimated breakdown according to each category. This list highlights general infrastructure needs and is not inclusive. Staff has compiled a comprehensive citywide infrastructure plan framework of all unfunded city projects and has identified each project as maintenance, programmatic, capital, or capital. Funding for infrastructure projects will be divided among these three buckets with an emphasis on maintenance and programmatic capital projects. Classifying projects as one of these three categories will better assist staff and the future Infrastructure Oversight Board to prioritize the city's needs. In fiscal year 2019-2020, Council will focus on projects that address deferred maintenance and programmatic capital improvements. So based on the information presented, the city estimates infrastructure needs total $470 million for existing city assets alone. In order to move forward, Council has committed to dedicate a reliable funding source to support infrastructure improvements. They adopted the Infrastructure Maintenance Repair Improvement Funding Commitment Policy, which states no less than 50% of Measure P dollars plus $4.7 million general fund dollars as an ongoing annual commitment. An important element will be the governance of all infrastructure projects. On March 26th, Council will conduct the first ordinance reading for the implementation of the Infrastructure Oversight Board, known as IOB. The IOB will serve in an advisory capacity, such as monitoring funded projects, reviewing policies and practices. And this board could potentially have some decision-making authority on prioritizing infrastructure funding needs. Actions have already been taken to prioritize infrastructure needs and execute a work program incorporating best practice project management that allows infrastructure maintenance, programmatic capital, and eventually capital improvement projects to be completed on time and within budget. So as mentioned, fiscal year 2019-2020 infrastructure projects will be focused on maintenance and programmatic capital. Projects and available funding will be presented to Council at the April 16th City Council meeting, and the budget adoption is expected to take place on Tuesday, May 14th at the City Council. This concludes my presentation, and I'd be happy to answer any questions.
So this is a project specific, just clarification for my own head. So it's not by department, it's going to be project specific.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
Mr. Gusso?
Thank you, Chair Lowers. So I have a couple of questions. Thank you for your report, Kristen. Great report. Two questions. First of all, on this chart under parks, I see Colony Theater, I see the golf course, I don't see the Starlight Bowl here. Is that not a part of the approved projects that we had?
You know, thank you for bringing that to our attention. That might have fallen off the list, but that should be a part of, that's definitely on there.
Is it part of the 94 million?
Yes. Are you referring to the attachment exhibit in the staff report?
No, I'm referring only to the chart.
So that one is just general categories, and so it would be encompassed in there.
Okay.
It would be a facility, right? Park and recreation facility.
Okay. So I just want to make sure we hadn't forgotten about it because it's just north of here on the, okay. So let me go through the numbers here for a second. I'm gonna be, what's his name? Todd. Miss you, Todd. So you said 50% of the Measure P money, which is approximately $10 million.
Yes.
And $4.7 million, you did say minimum, right?
Yes.
From the general fund.
From the general fund.
That's 14, let's give it a $15 million.
Mm-hmm.
So that's 30 years to get these projects done.
Right.
Wow. Okay. I'm speechless because that's an amazing amount of work that we have to do to find a way to fund these projects because everything on here has to be done. There's nothing that is a luxury. It's all crucial, important things that have to be done in this community to ensure our quality of life.
Right.
So, good luck to the staff. And, wow.
Chair Lowers, if I could just add maybe a little, I'm not sure that it will calm you in that regard, but I would say this. One is that the city has been very good at leveraging funds through grants and other opportunities. And I would say our department has done an excellent job of that. You've got a project coming up at McCambridge, or our memorial there at McCambridge, which is all grant dollars as well as donated dollars through the Veterans Committee. So, you know, through those kinds of creative actions, staff work, we can do things like that as well. I would also tell you that I think you'll see in conversations that'll be happening at the city council level, as well as with the Infrastructure Oversight Board, the idea of looking at public-private partnerships. So there have been a number of libraries and other types of city facilities built through private developers. They're interesting agreements and how they work, but they're successful. I know Long Beach has recently done them. I believe Santa Monica may have done one, but I'm not sure. But there's quite a few cities that are now looking at that because it's a way to use private dollars to build housing or something and encompass some form of civic building in that development. So I think that we're definitely thinking that way for those larger projects for sure. And we'll work very hard as a city to best use the dollars we get from Prop A and all of the other transportation types of measures that are out there, from gas tax and those types of things, because those all help to fix our streets and various things. So I think as a city, we're doing an excellent job to leverage what we have to work hard to find other people's monies to help us fund things and prioritize to the best of our ability how we can move forward with a lot of those projects.
And I look at some of the large amounts of money that are going to some of the refurbishments of our existing rec centers, which is always a concern for me, is that, you know, the sad part is what truly needs to happen is they need to be replaced. And it frightens me a little to, I mean, I know things like changing out the HVAC system and all those things are really important, but, you know, it'd be nice maybe to hang on some of that money, and maybe if, I don't know if there's any possibility of, you know, what even, I would assume that would have to be a completely different funding mechanism to package up the rec centers and maybe a McCambridge Park pool and the Starlight Bowl. Those are the biggest things that I can think of, and they're going to be huge amounts of money, and obviously have to have a conversation outside of just the, you know, keeping them healthy and running. And it's something obviously that I don't think the property tax is going to pay for, or the sales tax is going to pay for. I mean, I think you're going to be looking at some other major funding source for those. So I worry, you know, are we putting a lot of dollars maybe that could go other places? Yeah, I don't know the answer. I'm just saying it. You know, to put millions of dollars into those facilities who uniquely they just need to be replaced.
Chair Lowers, I would tell you we agree, and we're working hand in hand with our Public Works Department, who oversees all of our facilities, and we're ensuring that we're not making modifications to existing facilities that in the long run will have been a waste of time.
Okay.
So McCambridge has really good guts, just needs a complete overhaul,
Well, it's
renovation.
the newer one,
you know. Olive needs to be completely redone, but that doesn't mean you have to, you can still use the walls that are in there. It's just probably redoing the whole interior of that, which would be a pretty major renovation. I mean, I think we've budgeted upwards of $9 million for each of those rec centers so they're major renovations. And at this point, they're doing major overhauls of things that minor overhauls of things that won't be money wasted.
Okay,
and we're being smart about that at all city facilities. Yes, they have to be safe and usable. And we've done some things to McCambridge because the reality is, especially in light of things that have happened this last year, McCambridge is an emergency shelter. And so it needs to be in a position where it can house our residents in the event we have to get into that business of having a shelter. So we have done some minor modifications and we'll continue to do some over time to make that a more pleasant atmosphere when we do have to open up as a shelter. So those are the types of things that you'll see happening in a lot of our centers, but we're not spending a lot of money on, big overhauls of those facilities.
And the other elephant in the room, of course, is the estimated 10-year funding figure for Starlight Bowl. There is none. My guess is that there's just not enough room there to write a number that big. So do we have any idea how much that phase one would even?
I think you're going to see us probably coming out with a plan that will get us moving in the right direction with the Starlight Bowl. I think to think that you could spend upwards of $30 million is probably not realistic right now, and that's probably a minimum of what needs to be spent up there total when you really get into it. However, that being said, we believe that we're going to look at the possibility of doing things in the middle of each season to have an overall plan, but implementing small pieces of that plan over time. Sometimes that can be more costly, so we have to evaluate that. But the reality is we don't have a lot of money, and really, unless you want to close the facility down for an extended period of time, you can only do so much in between each season. So we're going to try and address that, but it's a big number. And I don't have a tremendous amount of hope that we would find a lot of grant funding for that facility, just because of the nature of what it is. But I think that we can do some things over time that will really enhance the experience there.
Yeah, the best hope for that one would be to have somebody come in there who wanted to turn it into their facility, whoever that might be. It comes to mind is the hockey rink down. And I have to tell you, I pulled into that driveway for the Boards and Commissions dinner, and there were a gazillion kids going into the facility with their beautiful big black Kings hockey bags on wheels, and those kids must have been 500 pounds in each of those bags, but how much they were struggling to get them in there. But it did my heart good to see that. And I think there's unique opportunities like that, perhaps out there. I think, maybe not for those big dollars, but you never know. Somebody might come along that wants their name on something so badly. But the caveat to that would be that they'd also want to be in charge of some of the use of it. And that's always a major sticking point.
Therein is the problem. I think that there are certainly a few models that could occur up there in terms of changing that business model and potentially finding a partner who might invest some money, but nobody's going to invest enough to really renovate the facility the way that it needs to be renovated. So I think we have to make some realistic decisions about what type of programming we expect to run there. And because your return on your investment is going to matter, right? And if you're going to continue to run family programming as we have, that's affordable for this community, you're just not going to make the money that would be needed to really help aid in some of those capital projects. So I think those are big decisions. And the last time we, as you recall, we met with the council as a joint board, there wasn't a tremendous amount of interest from the council to really farm that out to a third party to be in control of that business model. That's not to say, because of, like, you look at what we're doing this season. We've got a seasoned concert operator who's coming in and going to be doing some shows with us. And that could be a very good partnership for us, because it would be that person or that company running some programming up there that provides a little higher end. It's a little bit more money, but something different and more varied for the community, for those who want to have that kind of an experience at the Starlight Bowl, combined with the city still running our programming. So I think that we're trying to explore that kind of a model, and that's probably the model that ultimately makes the most sense moving forward for this community. But we'll get a really great idea of how that works this season, and I think that we'll get feedback from the community, how much a little bit more programming has done to the neighborhood and the area, to see if there's any impacts, and if so, can we mitigate them? And I think we'll learn a lot this season as we move forward. So I'm optimistic about the Starlight Bowl, in the sense that I think we will be able to do some things to that facility over time.
I can't imagine that there aren't some inexpensive things we could do that would assist some of our disabled citizenry in having easier access to the bowl. I know we have the vans that take people up to the parking lot by the restrooms, but there's still a considerable hill up to the grassy area or up to the box seats. And even getting into the stairways to the seats in front of the stage a bit. I was thinking maybe, it may be for a conversation for another day or a whole other topic on our agenda, but even if we had some golf cart kind of thing, or some like little something or other that we could take people in a wheelchair up, or I don't know if we bite off liability doing something like that, or whether we could that knocks down the whole ADA wall thing, then the whole thing would have to collapse, or
well, basically we have architectural plans that will solve that problem for us. It's just a matter of finding the money to do it. And another part of that is creating a road, an access road that goes up and around and to the top part of the grass area, with restrooms up in the upper part of it as well. So, because then you could drive up, there's a loop, and come down, so people could have easier access up at the grass as well as below. So we have a fantastic plan. I think what we're going to try and do is see how we can start phasing that plan in, and what's the best approach moving forward. So I think we'll be able to probably come back to the board in the next, I don't want to promise too much, but in the next 6 months or so, maybe outlining some plans, because we would probably like to be prepared for that going into next year's budget, with finding some money to do some of the things that we want to start doing up there.
Yeah, I don't mean to beat a dead horse.
Nope, it's not. We love that venue. We want it to be a really proud space for this community, and we know it can be. It still is, but it could be even really more spectacular. So we're hopeful that our partnership this year with Mr. Sterling will be successful, and that will then set us off on a course for maybe more programming up at that site, which will then be a very good reason for spending some dollars up at the Starlight Bowl.
Revenue generating. Anyone else? Mr. DiPaolo?
No, I agree that the Starlight Bowl is an outstanding facility, but as far as, I think that our renovation of our recreation centers is more important, because they're used a lot more. And I would be all for a bond that with Olive, Verdugo, and the Bowl piggybacking with each other, and I think that is, like I said, the centers are more important right now. Olive, believe it or not, is the most new of the facilities. Believe it or not, when it was renovated back in 1973, and they did a crappy job.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, it was.
Well,
I worked there.
I think I might make you happy, and that is, provided our budget gets approved, we have in the budget for this next year money for an architectural design to redo olive, which means we're getting prepared for
I was
that.
one of the only ones around then, so I can say that. But anyway, no, and Verdugo has been obsolete for a long time.
Sure.
The staff, and I can speak from experience, has really compensated and done a great job. Not myself included. I'm talking about everybody else, but I would think it'd be great if we could do something. Cambridge was built on a bond issue way back when I was a kid, and Mr. Krukerberg was behind that. So I would be all for the bowl being state-of-the-art as long as our centers are state-of-the-art. So, thank you.
Yes.
The possibility of a public-private partnership at the Starlight Bowl is a possibility. You see a lot of that going on now around the country. I don't know if that's something the council would be interested in, or, you know, you have the Starlight. You have the Greek Theater, you have the Hollywood Bowl, you have the Ford Theater now, and you also, you know, look at sponsorships, you know, like Coca-Cola or Pepsi or you know, some large corporation that likes this type of investment. But those are things that just look into. Thank you.
Those are things we will absolutely, from a staff perspective, always be looking into, and we won't give up on that.
Mr. Gussa.
Thank you, Chair Lowry. So, you know, obviously you know where I'm coming from, and I'd really like to have further discussion on this, and I understand why it might be 6 months before we can start that. And I'm going to say something probably surprising. There's a lot of things on this list that are more important than that Starlight Bowl. And even though that's, I would have to say that's one of my pet projects because I think that's fabulous. When I look at this list, wow.
Very difficult. I wouldn't even want to be in that.
I agree with Mr. DiPaolo. The recreation centers are used by more people, and the recreation centers are used by kids. And I still think that this board's responsibility is to make sure that the kids in this community are taken care of first before anybody else. So that certainly has to be taken into consideration. And seniors, by the way. But, you know, I'd certainly welcome the opportunity to discuss what our plan might be for that. Out of curiosity, frankly, as both a citizen and a commissioner here, I have interest in that facility. I'd hate to see that closed down. I think that would be a tragedy.
We're not going to let that happen.
Good.
And what I can tell you is this, is that the budget will be starting off soon, and I'm not sure what night they discuss infrastructure, but we will, because at your April meeting, we're going to be doing a tour. So at our May meeting, we will come back to you with all of the things that we got approved, because it'll be, I think we'll be close. Well, yeah, so it'll be after, in May, right? Oh. Yeah, so we'll be able to share with you all of our infrastructure projects that were approved for the budget next year. I think you'll be excited. We have quite a few really great things coming forward and where we're headed in the future. And then we will quickly try and get something to very specifically talk about just the Starlight Bowl. And I think the reason I say it probably will be a little bit of time is because we're working internally to figure out with our building division how we might move forward with a very long phased process of a plan to move forward up there. So that's one thing. And two, we really want to come back and talk to you about how the season went and what we're hoping to be able to accomplish next season, provided it's as big a success as we hope it will be.
So I know this isn't on the agenda, and I'm not meaning to get into a long discussion about it, but so did we decide to just go with one of the three different groups that we're interested in?
No, we have all three of them are going to be present. I think we're still waiting for one to get a confirmation, but we're planning to work with all three of them, with Sterling having the more nights. And April, we're going to have a short meeting that night after we do the tour up at Debell, because we're going to end up at the golf course in April. We will have on the agenda that night, you'll see the entire layout for the season.
Thank you.
Anyone have anything else? Okay, it brings us to the consent calendar, and on the consent calendar tonight, we have the approval of minutes from the February 14th meeting, the city council agenda items update, contract compliance, park patrol report, departmental operations update. Anyone have anything they'd like to pull from this, or do I have a motion to accept it as is?
I move to.
Oh, okay.
I move to accept the consent calendar as presented.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it brings us to the second period of oral communications. Do we have any cards? Seeing none. Any additional comments from the board? Oh, sorry.
Thank you, Chair Lowry. I'm going to have to stick my hand out here. So I'd just like to mention that I had the great opportunity last Saturday to volunteer at what I'd like to call, it hasn't been officially named yet, but most people are aware that past Mayor Golonsky has arranged with the city to put together a community garden. There was great demand when we had the community garden conversations here at Park Board. I do recall a lot of people coming forward and having an interest in that facility. He has been able, with the help of several others, to get that off the ground and started. I volunteered there last Saturday for a couple hours, and then had a soak in a tub for an hour and a half because my back was killing me. But the work really isn't that hard. He's going to have another volunteer work day. I'm hoping that more people will show up. We're suspecting it might be April 13th, but we're not sure yet. Anybody who would like to know can probably find me through the park department, and I will have that information in the next couple of days. I will post it on my Facebook post, but anybody who's not a Facebook friend who would like to know when that is, I'd be happy to share that with them. It'd be great if we could get some more people out. The facility is not that far away from being in operation, and I think it's a wonderful thing that although he doesn't live here anymore, that he still has that great interest in our city, and hopefully that garden will be named in memory of his wife.
Anyone else have anything to say? All right, how about any agenda items that anyone would like to see placed on a future agenda for discussion? I'm waiting.
You know, I'd kind of like to see an update on the hockey situation. I think that'd be a good thing to do.
It's coming to you in May.
Great, thank you so much.
It's on your agenda for May.
Thank you so much.
You wanted a quick response, and you've got it.
Listen, I know this department is on top of things.
I went by there the other night. They had a good crowd out there, so
Oh,
I was
good.
glad to see that. All in their Black Kings outfits. It looked cool.
Nice. All right, anybody else have anything? In that case, we are adjourned.